everybody. My name is Falgun Kompali, and I'm the co-founder of upGrad. upGrad is an online learning platform based out of India, and we're one of the largest online learning platforms. Basically, our vision is to build careers of tomorrow and help people succeed with the careers of tomorrow. I would advise not to read the slide because you will get nowhere. But I think broadly to explain what upGrad does, I think the problem has been talked about, and we're familiar with the idea of, on one side, college students not being skilled during the courses to actually find meaningful employment. And on the second side, people who are already employed in the industry have massive reskilling problem. Right? Especially in India, if you look at 30 million people currently working in the white collar space, 5 million of them in the IT space, and all of this is going through massive transformation. So all of these people have a need to reskill. There are about 30 million people, again, in the college space in India, and most of them, about 60 to 70% of them, are not employable as per most estimates. So there's a massive problem in terms of getting people the right skill. And what upGrad is trying to do in this space is work with both universities, where we partner with world-class universities in India, and also partner with industry, where we bring in big companies to help us with content, curriculum development, and also help us with projects and case studies so that students get a hands-on learning experience. And obviously, the students also get a credential from the university at the end of it. So if you look at the online learning space in India, as I said, there are a lot of problems in terms of people having to reskill, multiple career changes, and also college students getting the right skills. There are two extremes in the online education space in India. The first is a lot of people offering short certification programs, as you can see at the bottom corner, which is all the MOOCs players, and there are international and Indian players there. And also institutions who are offering full-time degrees, either on campus or weekend classes. Right? What we see is that there is a huge gap in between, where OPM is a term used in the US market and in US conversations, but it's not a very common term in India. What we do is not exactly OPM, I'll explain the differences later, but there is a huge space for somebody to partner with universities and with corporates to provide a full online learning experience. And this is something that was not existent, and if you look at it in terms of price point, there are people who are offering the short certification courses at a much lower price point, and there is the full-time courses which are at a much higher price point. And when we started off saying that upGrad wants to build a full one-year learning program and charge $3,500 to $4,000 for it, people laughed at us 2 years back. They said this price point is very high and it won't work for the Indian market. But what we've been able to successfully do over the last 2 years is establish ourselves in that space where we're able to deliver a rigorous one-year learning experience to students and also charge and offer a value proposition that is worth $4,000. So there are about 5,000 to 6,000 students who are currently doing these programs or have finished one-year programs at the cost of $4,000. As we talked about earlier, upGrad partners with both the universities and also with the industry. So some of our university partners in India are IIIT Bangalore, BITS Pilani, MICA, IMT Ghaziabad, and we also have international partners like Cambridge University and Liverpool John Moores University from the UK. And you can also see some of our industry partners includes the Ubers, Googles, Flipkarts of the world, and we make sure that we blend both of them together to give students a very hands-on learning experience, which is also academically rigorous. So I talked about a few of these numbers earlier. So right now, India has about 35 million college-going students, which is projected to go to about 62 million in the next 5 years. And similarly, there is another 8 million first-time job seekers who are passed out of college but are still struggling to find a job. And that number is also going to almost double. And then there's a working professional segment. And when I say working professionals, these are white-collar jobs. There are about 55 million people right now there, and it's going to go to 60 million. And if you see the market in the next 5 years, you will see that by even the most conservative projections, where the government says that at least 10% of the current college-going students have to do their programs online. Even if you go by the most conservative estimates, the addressable market here is about $10 billion when we look at the market in FY23. And one of the core competencies upGrad has been able to build in this market is the 360-degree full-stack learning experience, where, as I mentioned earlier, we create very engaging content, which comes from the university faculty, but also from the industry, where we're able to get a lot of case studies and projects that the students can work hands-on. The second is a very strong doubt resolution and peer engagement framework, where a lot of the times when it comes to online education, people have this concern about, okay, I'm going to learn, and there are going to be content out there, but who's going to solve any problem that I have, any concern, academic or non-academic? And that's where we have built a very strong doubt resolution and peer engagement platform. The next one is the hands-on projects and assignments that we already talked about. The next one is the personalized learning through grading and feedback. Again, something very important for students, where they feel like they will not get a very personalized hand-holding when they're doing an online program. So again, building a pool of 300 plus industry experts there who grade each assignment and give personalized feedback to the student in terms of how he or she can improve is something that we've been able to build. The last part is student support services and also industry mentorship and career services. Talking about student support services, there are two kinds of services that we provide to all our students. One is academic, which we talked about earlier, where any student has a query and it gets resolved within a certain period of time. And the second is non-academic support, where we constantly monitor the student and what he's doing on the platform. So one, it is reactive. So when the student has a non-academic query, we respond. But it's also very proactive in the sense that we are constantly monitoring what the student is doing, where he is falling back, and making sure that we have enough nudges in place to push the student to complete and be engaged with the program. The next part was the industry mentorship and career services. I think this is also one of the key aspects where we work with the industry to start with, in terms of getting their buy-in, in terms of what we are teaching, how we are teaching it, and also getting their experts to come and be part of the program. But at the end of it is very important to connect them back to the students and say that, look, we've built a very large talent pool. Now, why don't you help these students with any kind of finishing that is required and also absorb them into the kind of roles that we're talking about? So what we've been able to achieve with the learning experience that I talked about is that we have a very high completion rate. For a full 12-month online program, we see completion rates of greater than 90%. The customer satisfaction and feedback on the content is more than 4.5 on a scale of 5. And also the average NPS, or the Net Promoter Score, is greater than 60%. So we've been able to put together a learning experience where students are constantly engaged and are getting outcomes from that process. One of the other things that this slide doesn't mention is when we work with universities, I think it's going to come back, but when we do work with universities, we have been able to build a lot of confidence with the entire university ecosystem in terms of partnering with upGrad, because they have various concerns around how will you handle our brand, how will you do student recruitment, etc. But we're working with best-in-class universities in India, which includes IIIT Bangalore and BITS Pilani. And when we started our engagement with them about 2 years back, we started with 1 or 2 programs. And right now, for example, in the case of IIIT Bangalore, we have 8 programs with them. Right? And the scale that we operate at with them is about 40 to 50 crore, which is about $10 million. So I think we've been able to build that trust in the university ecosystem in India to find great partners and do this at scale. I think it's going to come back in a second. So let's not wait for this. But I think the next thing was about how we have grown as a company over the last 2 to 3 years. So upGrad has been in operation for the last 3 years. And you will see that we have been able to consistently grow in terms of scale, be it either enrollment scale or revenue scale. We were going at about 2 to 3x every year. So last year, the year before, we've closed at about $8 to $9 million. This year, we would be closing at about 18. This year we would be closing at about $18 million. So we've been able to consistently grow at 2 to 3x every year. And as I said, in 5 years, the addressable market is about $10 billion. And we see upGrad playing a major part in that and reaching a scale of about $500 million. So pretty much that's it. So as you see, upGrad works with a lot of stakeholders. It includes universities, it includes corporate partners, it includes a network of, we've seen a lot of people talk about network of graders, network of alumni, etc. So we work with a lot of people who are able to provide with those kinds of networks. So we'll be happy to collaborate and talk to anybody who's interested and who feels there's an opportunity in working with upGrad and making sure that we create the careers of tomorrow for people not only in India, but also throughout the world. Thank you very much.